All right, you've got a new book out, and I want to talk about that coming up in a minute. I just want to, first of all, get your thoughts on a couple of things that are going on, and they all actually relate to the book. But I want to talk to you about, first of all, the Cardi B thing. I mean, that was fantastic. It was just fantastic to watch. And it started with Ben Shapiro, and he did a monologue on WAP, Wet Ass P Word, which is Cardi B's song, which is so classy, so classy. And you talked about it with Ben, and then all of a sudden, because you said she was an illiterate rapper, she went off on you. Tell me the story.
She did. Me and Ben are guilty of perhaps telling the truth, which is what conservatives tend to get in trouble about.
Mm-hmm.
There's an entire chapter in my book talking about Black culture and the accountability that we have in terms of the things that we perpetuate within our own culture, right? So we are surprised that our neighborhoods are ridden with gangs, that the crime rates are high. It's not fair that Black men are being arrested. And I sort of take people through just the last 40 years of Black music or 50 years of Black music, how we went from the Temptations to Cardi B singing about her female genitalia and encouraging other women to, use their female genitalia in certain ways. And that's the number one song in the country right now. And so I talk about how Black culture has disintegrated over time. And Cardi B, this song is actually exactly what I'm talking about. And to think that this is the number one song, her singing about her female genitalia, and Joe Biden, after not giving virtually any interviews all year, decides to come up for air and sit down and honor her with an interview in which she could not have been more ignorant, she could not have been more illiterate, and she could not have been more ridiculous. So also we're seeing culture is being manipulated. It's being used to seize Black Americans to the Democrat Party.
I mean, you tweeted, Malcolm X warned us years ago about puppetry of interviews like Cardi B and Joe Biden. He spoke out against the white liberal game of using entertainers as pawns. Explain that.
Right. That's exactly true. So, I mean, think about just the last 48 hours. Okay. So Joe Biden hits the stage and he's trying to get the Hispanic vote. And so he plays Despacito, a song that's very popular. Because I guess if you're Spanish, you like the song Despacito, Glenn. And that means you have to vote for Biden. Same with Black America. Here's Cardi B, and that means you have to vote for Biden. Mm-hmm. And yet, why isn't that done in the white community? Why isn't Joe Biden sitting down with Steven Tyler or the Kiss Band and talking about white issues? This has always been like a tool for manipulation when it comes to minorities. And it's sickening because it's virtually them. It's the bigotry of low expectations. We don't care about your problems. We don't care about your issues. You're not smart enough to understand the complexity behind your issues. So here's your favorite entertainer.
Well, I will tell you, they don't play any German polka. And that's why I have a hard time going out voting for any of them, because I'm just not hearing that German polka, and it's pissing me off. Who's pandering to me? You know what I'm saying? So Candace, you're watching what's happening, and I can't imagine being an African-American living in some of these cities where the riots are going on and seeing these white punk-ass kids using me and burning my neighborhood down. Is this going well in the African-American community, Black Lives Matter, and these riots?
It's not. And this is what always happens. You can always rely on the left to overplay their own hand, right? So in the beginning, people were apprehensive. I think starting with the George Floyd protest, they're like, oh, is there police brutality? Are Black men being targeted? But then as time went on, it just got more and more ridiculous. Now it's like, we don't want unarmed Black men being harmed by police too. Okay, even if they're armed and shooting a taser at the police officer, the person still needs to be left alone, and it needs to be a peaceful seizure. Okay, even if he's carrying a knife and threatening to kill a police officer, the assailant needs to be left alone. So you're starting to see more and more. This has nothing to do with equality. Actually, it's the exact opposite. What they're demanding is entitlement, and the entitlement has nothing to do with Black people at all. We're just their favored oppressed horse to bet on. They love saying Black America's oppressed, but this is the same group that's behind Antifa. They're just changing their T-shirts, right? Mm-hmm. They're like, okay, we're going to pretend we're Black Lives Matter today. These are the same gross, greasy, from their basement Antifa thugs that we see, and they're purpose is simply to undo America, to undo the fabric of America, to go out, to riot, to loot, to destroy, and to really, their end game is to overthrow. They want to overthrow the government. They want to be in power. They want a socialist America. And that's what we're fighting every single day.
So is the black community, I'm going to ask you about the everybody else. Is the black community, is this printing on them? Are they getting it? Are you seeing any signs that people are like, wait a minute, we're being played like we've never been played before?
Let's see. At some point, the Blaze, you're going to have to go back and get your tapes, Glenn. I remember sitting on that couch next to you, and I said 20 points in 2020. You asked me to give you a number. I said 20 points in 2020, and now the polls are showing that because Black Americans are waking up. Because whose neighborhoods harm when you riot and you burn and you loot and you steal? Who's hurting at the end of the day when you're saying defund the police initiatives? Whose communities are going up 200% in inner cities in regards to shootings in general? The black community. We're the ones that hurt when these celebrities who live behind gated communities and have their own personal security guards say defund the police officers, defund the public institutions that are protecting Black America. And so, the left has overplayed their hand. Black America is waking up. I've even seen instances in which in Chicago, Black Lives Matter, which consists of a bunch of white people, is being chased out of black neighborhoods saying, you don't show up when our black children are shot and killed. Don't show up because it fits your political narrative. So there is an awakening going on. And I can't tell you how many of Cardi's fans I poached from this public, spectacle with her, because the people don't want to be ignorant. They're just being force-fed so much BS from the media and so much, racialized foolishness. But things are changing, and it's great that Blexit gets to be at the forefront of this.
The other thing is, well, first, let me just ask you the same question about the rest of the nation. You feel the same way about, white people and basically Democrats. I mean, I know Democrats, and I like Democrats. I don't like Marxists. I don't like revolutionaries. I don't relate to people who are communists, et cetera, et cetera. But people who just disagree on, taxing and spending, okay, I can, we're fine with each other. We can, hash that out. But this is different. We have Joe Biden now saying, well, this is 2 days in a row where it is the Harris-Biden ticket. He doesn't have control of his faculties. He is saying things that are he was talking on Monday about weather stripping, that we did all this weather stripping and weatherizing of houses under Obama, and that was just the beginning. Here's what's coming. It's crazy what they're doing. Are the good Democrats also waking up?
Yeah, the moderate Democrats, because their party, has been under duress. The socialists, the far left people, and I credit Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. People are so mean about her. We owe everything to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I mean, because she was the first one who had the courage to actually just say what they were after. You don't like America. This is anti-American. So we've seen on the left, there's been a civil war between the far left socialists and the more moderate Dems. The moderate Dems have more in common with the conservatives these days. And I'll tell you one thing. I laughed and cheered the day that I first saw them actually start to say defund the police. Do you think that's going to bode well with your suburban white voters? I mean, are you kidding me? Who calls the police more than a suburban white mother? I mean, someone stepped on my lawn. The music is too loud downstairs. And now you're going to threaten, they want to be able to raise their kids in a safe neighborhood, as does every single American. And so the idea that you're going to tell them that defunding the police is going to be a good idea and their children are going to be safer, you're not going to get anybody with any sensibilities, anybody with a modicum of intelligence to stand behind this movement. They've gone too radically left, and that's the truth. So what we're really going to think, and out at the outset of this election, when we look at this exit polling, I think we're going to actually see, as crazy as it sounds, Glenn, a more united America, because right now the dichotomy exists in this. You either want America to burn or you don't.